Hey y'all, it's Toyya. If you're like me, you're a do-it-yourselfer, and you do all the research and everything to get you started on your journey. But in the end, you might find out, like I did, that some things you're just going to have to learn from experience. And I think that thin locks are one of those things. I see a lot of videos about thinning locks. I think that's one of those things. And there's tons of videos about thinning locks, so this video isn't going to be about thinning locks as a whole. I'm just going to be talking about some of my personal issues and experiences recently. So you might already know that I cut out one lock. I have two that were thinning. You might already know that I cut out one here. If I can get close enough, it was right there in that patch. And that hair has actually grown back about 1.5 to 2 inches. So I will be repairing that today on camera for you guys. And the other lock is this one here with the pink bead on it. And you can see how the root is pretty thin compared to the rest of the lock. And it's a shame because I didn't find out, or I didn't realize until watching several videos about thinning locks, because I believe in, being preventative. So I watch videos about things like that even if I don't have the problem at the moment. So it wasn't until I watched some of the ones like, there's a really good one by Quotidian Light, and there was one I found helpful by Toyya 6116, and it wasn't until I watched their videos that I realized what I've been doing. So what I found out was by latching my fat roots. Let me find that lock again. Where's my bead? Gotta feel for it. Okay. So by latching my fat roots through my fat ends through narrow roots, I was like breaking hairs, pulling through. And what I mean by narrow roots is you might have enough new growth to make a full rotation when you're latching, but the ends are so fat that you break hairs or it gets stuck when you try to pull it through. So I didn't realize it, but I was breaking hairs. I was breaking a lot of little hairs, and over time, wearing down, the roots got thinner, and that results in stuff like this. So another thing I noticed that I was doing is I had locks that were stuck together, and I would pop them, or I would accidentally, which is more common, I would accidentally latch them together, just like rushing and tired, and when I pulled them apart, I was breaking even more hair, so I was making the problem even worse. So now that I'm aware of those things, I've been trying to correct them. Okay, so to correct the problem with the lock that's still intact, what I'll be doing is waiting a little longer before I retighten this lock in particular. And of course the other one once I repair it. But I want to make sure that I can get a full rotation in without causing any more damage, right? And I'll also be taking these loose hairs on the edges and trying to incorporate them into that lock by wrapping them around. So that's what I'll be doing for that one. For this one over here that is missing, yeah, I am going to be extending that one on camera, which I believe I already said that, but I'll be extending that one. So here we go. Now I'm going to use this little toothbrush to brush the hairs down. Okay, so I've got that hair all brushed out. I am going to twirl it just a little bit to give myself something to work with. Now I'm using this model Marley braid hair. A, because it's what I have, and B, because I want it to be a different texture than my own hair rather than using human hair, so that it will be easy for me to see where it was. So what I'm doing is pulling it apart just in several pieces to make it easy. You'll see why in a second. Alright, and that's a bit much, so I'm gonna, well, no, I need it because I'm gonna wrap it. So I am going to braid this in a few rotations and stop. And it is kind of difficult to braid less than 2 inches of hair, but I will be trying my best. Okay, so now that I've got a few good rotations in on that, hopefully I'm in the camera, I'm going to pull some of this hair out, a good piece of it out, and put it to the side, and I will continue braiding the rest, making sure to keep that out. Now the goal here is to get it to the length of the lock next to it, which is about here. So I'm going to keep braiding down to that point, and then I'll stop. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? It's hot in this bathroom, y'all. Super hot. And I think I'm going to be fine stopping here, even though it's not quite to the length of the other one, because I've got locks of all different sizes in this area where my bangs are. So now that I've gotten here, I am going to take this little piece that I left out, and I'm going to wrap it around. Now what that's going to do is, and I hope I left out a long enough piece, but what that's going to do is disguise this braid a little so it'll blend in more with my natural locks. But you see how it's a good bit silkier than my own hair. And that's as far as I could get down. So I will hold that and with the edges separate. If you saw my lock extension video, that's exactly what I'm doing. The edges I'm going to take and separate, and then wrap them upwards. Hopefully that doesn't unravel before I get it covered. And I'm going to wrap it up until it disappears. See how that's coming along so far? And I'm probably only going to do this a few more times because I don't want this lock to end up too thick, too much thicker than my own. And what I'll do with the rest is just cut it off, and I don't think I should have any problems from that. Just for added security, I am going to tie the end of this one, that last one. So that is what I'm going to leave in, and I am going to cut the rest at the end, being careful not to cut the actual extension, the actual lock. Alright. So not too bad. blends in fairly well. Slightly shinier, slightly. And that is my lock repair for now. And as that grows, once it gets about this length on its own, I'll just cut that extension out. Alright folks, that's it. Those are my tips and my warnings for today. If you have any tips that you'd like to share with me about thinning locks, any warnings you'd like to share, please do for myself and others to see in the comment section. And take care.